There are 10 games on Friday, so let's take a look at what we need to know, what we need to pay attention to, who's in, who's out, and who are we streaming. Of course, number one option is Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and I did not come down in the last shower. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Twitter, as always, at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Your favorite team now has your new favorite newsletter. Go to lockedondaily.com to get our daily newsletter for your favorite team. Also, hit the thumb up and the double bang. Listen, subscribe, comment, all of that stuff would be sick. Go and do it. Let's try and get through as much of this stuff as we can. I didn't tell you, actually, that today's episode was brought to you by FanDuel. Get started with a big return on FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Go to FanDuel.com to get started. Let's talk about it. Friday, daily look ahead. Friday, October 25. There are 10 games on. Then we'll get to 10 games Saturday. After that, let's see through these games what is on my radar. So look, if you don't know how the structure of this goes, I have one player per team that I want to sort of see. And obviously there's more. Sometimes they're not as important, but we just want to see what things are happening. And then we talk about stream options per game and then big lists at the end to figure out where we're targeting. Streaming is not as important in week one. You want to be more stabilizing, making sure you're not making stupid decisions to drop players. Grabbing the guys that are valuable on the waiver wire, but not making dumb decisions is really key. Let's take a look at the first game for Friday. It is the Brooklyn Nets. They're taking on the Orlando Magic, who had a big win in game one. All of these teams have now played their first game. The Magic are 11-point favorites in this one. Both of these teams have two more games this week. Brooklyn has the Friday-Sunday, so that's an advantage, whereas Orlando gets the back-to-back Friday-Saturday, and both teams go 4 next week. Bojan Bogdanovic is out. Day'Ron Sharpe is out. Trendon Watford, I had as questionable, but he is also out. I've put Nick Claxton there. ML means minutes limit. I'm guessing he'll be on a minutes limit again, so he may not start after coming off the bench last game. And then John Isaac left the last game with a hip issue. I think he'll be okay, but I don't know that at this point. What am I watching for on the Nets? It is Claxton. How much do they limit him? Because they limited him extremely. He wasn't even the first man off the bench. He wasn't even close to playing 30 minutes. How long is that going to last? We obviously need to keep an eye on that. And then for the Magic, Paolo Banchero hit shots. He looked awesome against the Heat. I don't imagine there's a huge amount of defensive resistance going up against Brooklyn, but what we want to see is a continued pattern of being more efficient. Let's see it. In terms of stream guys, I think Dorian Finney-Smith is worth a look in Brooklyn because if you start and he blocked 2 shots and he hit a couple of threes, that's useful. The other guy you can look at for deeper leagues is Jalen Wilson, who got 32 minutes off the bench. In Orlando, it's probably Cole Anthony. You could look at Mr. Black, but the minutes were really weird in that last game for the Magic with Jalen Suggs. You're playing 12 minutes after early foul trouble and then a blowout, so not sure how that's all going to go, but I feel better about streaming Cole Anthony, but Anthony Black would be another option in that spot. The second game of the day is Philadelphia and Toronto, probably the most injured game out of every game that we've got. There's a lot of players out. First of all, we'll just talk schedule. The Sixers go Friday, Sunday, and then only 2 games next week, so that obviously stinks in terms of even the replacement options there, but it's good if you have George or Embiid. Toronto has a Friday, Saturday back-to-back. They've got 4 games. We know Embiid is out. Paul George is out, and he'll miss both of these games now. That is confirmed. Kelly Olynyk is out, Jacoby Walter is out, Bruce Brown is out, and then Rowan Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley are both doubtful, meaning they're not going to play on Friday, Barrett and Quickley, and I would be skeptical if they play on Saturday. In Philadelphia, they started KJ Martin last game, but it was Caleb Martin that played 38 minutes, so will that happen again? I think he's going to play a lot, and I don't think they'll go back to the KJ Martin thing, so Caleb has some value. And then on Toronto, I talked about it, Scotty Barnes was bad. I don't think he's bad, but he was bad. So we want to see the shooting numbers, we want to see the usage, we want to see what happens in a game where he's going to have to carry a lot because there is no Quickley and no Barrett. Philadelphia, the stream is probably Caleb Martin there if Oubre is not rostered, or Drummond, obviously. In Toronto, Dick would be the stream guy, but he's rostered in most spots, and he does get that real boost in usage with both Quickley and Barrett out. Not sure it lasts long term. Otherwise, I go to Davion Mitchell. Jamal Shed could also be the guy, but I'm pretty pretty confident they're going to start with Mitchell over Shed, even though Shed was a better player in Game 1. The third game, we're talking about the Detroit Pistons and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Cleveland with a big win. Detroit choked away a win in their first game. Both of these teams play Friday, Saturday, and both of these teams play 4 games next week. I'm going to guess that Asar Thompson is out from the blood clot. We would have heard news that he was ready to play. He's not, so he's not going to be there. I'm pretty sure Bobby Klintman is out. And then Max Strus and Amani Bates are out for the Cavs. The Cavs are 10-point favorites here. I want to see for Detroit Tobias Harris because he started off well, and then I don't think he registered a single stat in the second half. So there's a chance that he's just actually 100% washed. That is possible. I don't think he is, but we watch it. For the Cavs, Evan Mobley was awesome in Game 1. Will he continue that? Will he continue to get the high usage? Will he continue to shoot well? That's what we watch. In terms of streams, with Asar out, we can look at Tim Hardaway Jr. as a streamer for points and threes. You could look at Leaky Beasley. Both of those guys got the priority over Simone Fontecchio and rugged Ronnie Holland. And then Dean Wade probably for the Cavs, assuming that Karis LeVert has been taken. Wade is the next option there to take a stream look at. The fourth game of the day, we're taking the Charlotte Hornets into Atlanta. We're not taking them exclusively, but we're there. We're a part of it. The schedule-wise here, the Hornets go Friday, Saturday back-to-back, and the 3 games in Week 2, and the Hawks go Friday, Sunday with 4 games in Week 2. The bad news for Charlotte is that Mark Williams is out again, Brandon Miller is out again. Daquan Jeffries is out. Josh Green is questionable, and Tijan Salin is questionable. So we know that Williams and Miller are out. For the Hawks, out of nowhere, Bogdanovic is out with a hamstring issue. And Kobe Buffkin has suffered a shoulder subluxation, which is what he suffered in Summer League. That is very worrisome. We don't know. That's going to be multiple games for Buffkin, who had a real chance to establish a role. It's going to be multiple games. It could be 6 months. We hope that's not what it is. We hope it's not a fully torn labrum, but it could be. If he has surgery on a torn labrum, it is basically year over, which we would hate. But at the moment, we're expecting multiple games off here for Buffkin. As for Bogdanovic, maybe he plays Sunday, maybe not. But that opens up a lot. There's no guards on this team. There's none now. It's going to be a lot of Dyson Daniels. On the Charlotte side, there's no Miller. There might be no Green, so it's Trey Mann. Like, he played a lot of minutes last game. They started Seth Curry in the second half, and I don't care if they start Seth Curry again. Mann is the guy we need to look at. Cody Martin also started, so we'll see what happens there. And then for Ricochet, he played like 19 minutes. Will he get a bump with Bogdanovic out? You would think he would have to because, again, there's no guards. And he's not really a guard, but he's sort of got some guard skills. There's nobody. There's literally nobody. That Dyson Daniels going to have to be the backup point guard. So Ricochet probably has to play more. In terms of stream, guys, it is Trey Mann. I would probably still consider DeAndre Hunter a stream for the Hawks, but if Ricochet was dropped, which rightfully so, and you wanted to take a flyer because Bogdanovic is out, I get it. I get it. Unless there's someone I'm just completely missing on this team, again, there are no guards. Also interesting to note from the Hawks from Game 1, they didn't play Larry Nance at all. No minutes for Larry. Of course, we want to see the Okongwu-Capella split also. The fifth game of the day is the Indiana Pacers, the playoff rematch going into Madison Square Garden to take on the Knicks. The Knicks here are 5.5-point favorites. This is the last Knicks game for the week. So they play Friday and then 3 games next week, whereas the Pacers go Friday, Sunday into 3 games in week 2. The unfortunate news, which we sort of thought was coming, is that James Wiseman is out for the season. He tore his Achilles. That is over for him. In terms of just feeling sympathy for the man, I think that might be the end of his NBA career. It was already hanging on by a thread, and now I think it might be done for him. People have asked the question, do I go and add Isaiah Jackson now? I don't think there is literally any impact on Jackson, and here's why. Because if Jackson was healthy, Wiseman would have played 0 minutes because he is bad. We feel sorry for him for the injury, but he is bad. So I don't think there's a single change for Jackson. Absolutely, like you can add him, right? No problem. Because in 20 minutes, he is at least 14-team viable, maybe even 12. But we also don't know if Jackson's going to play because he missed opening night. And for the Knicks, it's Robinson and Achua, who are both out, as we know, and it's very important we take a look at this Knicks rotation. On the Pacers side of things, Andrew Nembhard played a lot of minutes. He got 7 assists, which is really valuable. I don't think he's going to be the guy generating all the assists over Tyrese Haliburton, so I'm very skeptical of his overall upside. You may disagree with that, and that is totally cool. I think he's more of a fringe player. You might think he's better, and we want to see how it plays out here. And for the Knicks, Josh the Hitman Hart, after taking 1 shot in all of preseason, exaggeration only slightly, he was more active on opening night. But it's hard to judge because that Celtics game was very weird. They played limited minutes for a lot of players. So where do Hart's minutes go? Do Anunoby, Bridges, and Hart play 40 minutes? Probably. In terms of streams, I still like TJ McConnell. That's a good stream for Indiana. And Ben Mathurin could be that guy too. And for the Knicks, Juice McBride's been added enough that he passes my threshold. You can stream him in. He will not be as good as game one. Guarantee that. Guarantee it. But he might even push to 30 minutes, McBride, which is fine. But it's not a good schedule for the Knicks. And I don't think that he's this guy that pushes with this huge top 100 upside at all. Campaign would be the other guy if McBride's not there because he's going to have to play. And yeah, he might get 4 assists and 12 points, which is useful enough in a streaming context. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the best place for real money sports action. Over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks. It's the best way to get that action in sport over 30 states, including California, Florida, Georgia, and Texas. And PrizePicks is the only real money daily fantasy platform that has an injury insurance policy. So your lineups stay in play even if one of your players gets hurt. If a player leaves in the first half and doesn't return, PrizePicks keeps your lineup live. It puts its members first as well at PrizePicks. Your withdrawals are fast, it's safe, and it's secure. When you get your picks to hit, you can get your money back in as quickly as 15 minutes. So sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. Download the app, use the code LOCKEDONNBA and get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app, use the code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. All right, we're still looking at the things that are on my radar. We are 5 games in. We've got 5 more to look at, the things we're paying attention to across the NBA for Friday's slate of games. The next one is the Memphis Grizzlies taking on your mates, the Houston Rockets. Both teams were a little bit weird on opening night. That's to be expected. Opening night, there's always going to be some weirdness. The Grizzlies and the Rockets both play Friday and Saturday, but Memphis plays 4 in week 2 and Houston plays 3 in week 2. We know that the Memphis group is out. G.G. Jackson, Vince Williams, Luke Kennard, they're all out. At the moment, I don't think I've got an update on this, but I'm just going to double check it. Jaren Jackson, I guessed that Jaren was doubtful. He is officially doubtful, so we nailed that one. I've also got Steven Adams, who's dealing with a calf strain, as doubtful. I don't think that Steve is going to play for the Rockets in this one, even though it would be a revenge game. I don't think he's going to play, so I labeled him doubtful as well. On the Memphis side, we need to watch Zach Edey. He fouled out in under 15 minutes. He looked slow in comparison to Walker Kessler. I don't know how it's going to work against Alperen Şengün, but what do they do with him? Because J Huff outplayed him, clearly. So will we get more Huff? Will we get Clark? There's still no Jaren there, obviously. I would be, obviously need to watch that. And then Amen Thompson, who was, I thought, bad. The plus-minus stuff with him was really bad. The offense was really poor when he was out there. He only played 21 minutes, and I'm going to say it now. If he's a 21-minute a night player, that is not a standard league guy. I don't know that he will be a 21-minute a night player, but that is not enough. That becomes we're waiting for an injury type of player versus a plug-and-play every night sort of a guy. In terms of streams, yes, Santi Aldama will be the guy in Memphis now that Jaren's out, but Brandon Clark is another option. He stunk in the first game, so we'll see whether he gets more playing time. Deeper leagues, you look at Jay Huff. And then for the Rockets, I think Dylan Brooks. There's a lot of minutes for Dylan Brooks. You can consider a man if he's available. Tari Eason could be there, but the minutes for Brooks up against his former team, revenge game, but also just he's out there a lot, right? And that's just going to give you a little bit of ability to get some points, maybe a steal or two, maybe 1 or 2 assists, just enough little things in his role that's going to be big enough, I think. The Bulls taking on the Milwaukee Bucks is the 7th game we're taking a look at here. The Bulls have a Friday, Saturday back-to-back, and then 3 games week 2, and the Bucks go Friday, Sunday with 3 games in week 2. The Bucks are 10-point favorites in this one. That's big, very obviously. What we know is that Lonzo Ball is out. That is the first game of the back-to-back. Chris Middleton is out, and he will remain out this week. I'm certain of that. I maintain the fact that Lonzo should not be rostered in 12-team leagues. Sure, if he's in IR, it doesn't matter. But he's going to be in and out of that position. And I just think it's such a long pathway for him to get back to playing 26 minutes, which is going to take months if it happens at all, for him to be a useful guy. Deeper leagues, sure. But I think it's going to really hamstring you if you hold on to him, which is unfortunate. I love him. What am I watching for on the Bulls? Jalen Smith was great in game 1. I don't think 17 minutes is quite enough. If he gets 21 minutes, then I'm into it. But it was him and Vooch at center, never at power forward, even though Patrick Williams sucks. So we watch that with Jalen, and then I want to see what Glenn Rivers does with Brook Lopez's minutes. Because he cut him back last season, and then Brook played like 35 on opening night and blocked 6 shots. Is it a Brook Lopez, another resurgence? I want to see it, because I may have been wrong on that. At the moment, I look wrong. One game, we'll see. Stream guys, Dosunmu, there's not enough minutes at the moment for Dosunmu to be considered an absolute must roster. It's going to require someone being out, but Lonzo is out in this one. So I would guess that Io just gets those extra minutes. He also closed the game over Patrick Williams because he sucks. But can they go with like just all guards? Giddey, White, Levine, Dosunmu? That's rough. And then your defensive linchpin is old mate Vooch. The Bucks, probably Gary Trent is the guy that I stream in. I don't love Trent as a must-roster player at all, but he can hit 3 threes, he can get 2 steals on the off night. So that's interesting. That's what we look for in streams, is potential and minutes and opportunity. The next game is the Golden State Warriors and the Utah Jazz, the Larry Markkinen Bowl. The Warriors cooked against the Blazers, and the Jazz were very competitive against Memphis on opening night. The Warriors play Friday, Sunday, and then they have 3 games in week 2. And this is the Jazz's last game for the week, and then they have 4 games the week after. At the moment, the only injury we know about is Isaiah Collier is out for the Jazz with a hammy, and then Johnny Juzang, the big fella, he missed last game, and we just don't care at all, unfortunately, for him. The Warriors are 4.5-point favorites here, and what we want to see with the Warriors is Steve Kerr and his 12-man rotation. How do they use it? Is John Kuminga really playing 20 minutes? It's hard to judge because they won by 50 points. Not really, but close enough against the Blazers. But if Kuminga's a 25-minute player, that is very hard to hold. Same with Pod, same with Hield, same with Melton, same with Wiggins. We want to just see what that rotation holds. For the Jazz, speaking of 25 minutes, Colin Sexton played 25 minutes on opening night. Was it because he was playing too well? 25 minutes for Sexton will not be enough to hold, but I am holding for now. Stream guys, any of those names that I mentioned, Hield, Melton, Kuminga, Wiggins, Jackson Davis, if they're Podziemski, if any of them are available, you stream them in. But I think they're rostered in most spots. Kyle Anderson would be the next one. He's part of that 12-man rotation. He's 10, Moody's 11, Peyton's 12. Bryce Sensabaugh, probably for Utah. I'd have him a little bit ahead of Cody Williams because he's just got more ability to score. But yeah, nothing exciting. If John Collins was dropped, and he rightfully can be, and you want to take a 1-game stream on him, that's fine. Go for it. But I don't think there's long-term value in the Baptist for Utah. Phoenix and the Lakers is the next game we look at. The Suns go into LA after, well, they stay in LA after beating the Clippers in overtime. Now they take on the Lakers. The Suns go Friday, Saturday. They're going to back-to-back. The Lakers go Friday, Saturday, back-to-back, and then both teams play 3 in week 2. I don't know if there'll be any Beal, Booker, Durant, Davis, LeBron resting in any of these games. Probably not this one, but let's see. At the moment, Josh Okogie is the only guy for Phoenix that's of any, on the injury report at all. He missed last game. I'm labeling him questionable, but who cares if he plays? He won't be in the rotation. Whereas the Lakers are without Wood. They're without Jared Vanderbilt. And then I don't think Christian Koloko is going to be available. And all those guys are big men. Lakers are 1.5-point favorites. Yusuf Nurkic got into early foul trouble last game for Phoenix and then didn't close the game. How do they use him? Will they need Nurkic out there against Anthony Davis, or they want Royce O'Neal? I think this enables Nurkic to play more. Remember, he didn't play a lot in the preseason. His line was still fine in that first game of the season, but we want to watch those minutes. And then for the Lakers, we got big minutes for Rui Hachimura. Will that happen again? Will Rui take more shots than D'Angelo Russell, LeBron James, and Austin Reeves? Almost definitely not. But of course, we want to see how he gets utilized under JJ Redick. In terms of streams, it's probably Royce O'Neal as the higher priority stream for Phoenix. Grayson Allen did not look right at all with his Achilles, so O'Neal probably is that guy. And then for the Lakers, Jackson Hayes is going to be the backup to AD. There's just not much going on that bench. Dalton Connect didn't do a huge amount. Max Christie got some foul trouble and then barely played. It's not a great fertile spot for streaming. The last game of the day is the Pelicans. They go to take on the Portland Trailblazers up in Portland. Both of these teams play Friday, Sunday, and then both have 4 games in week 2. We know that DeJounte Murray is out. We know that Trey Murphy has got at least 2 more weeks until he returns. But in good news, Zion Williamson is back. For the Blazers, Shaedon Sharpe, Rob Williams, and Matisse Thybulle are all out. And this is what I thought would happen. DeJounte out means that Zion Williamson basically just takes his role. So there's no extra starter here. So the Jordan Hawkins 27 minutes from last game might stick. All right, that can easily hold. But honestly, it's DeJounte out, Zion in. So that rotation can stay almost the same, except Zion for DeJounte. Now, that means that we need to watch what they do with Yves Missy, because Missy played big minutes, for him anyway, and was good. I'm not super confident that he's always going to be that good. I added him in, I think, 1 league. I think he's probably more of a deeper league guy than a 12-teamer, because him and Zion as a fit is really bad. I hate the fit. And we'll see how much that plays into it. But that's what we want to watch. In terms of the Blazers, they will keep Scoot Henderson coming off the bench. He scored well, but he was inefficient. I need to see more from Scoot. It hasn't looked good. In terms of streams, Misi, he's there for the Pelicans. And then Toumani Camara, who's going to start. He's going to be a low upside, solid contributor. I really like him as a player. He's a very good defender. I'm not sure he's got elite upside fantasy-wise, but he is at least worth a stream look, which I think we can consider doing. Today's episode is also brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you are watching the game and you get a hunch, you can go straight to the app, open it up where you would place your bets, and you can see the latest stats. You can see the live play-by-play. You can see so much more on that page where you place those bets. And if you are a new customer to FanDuel, you place your first $5 bet and they give you $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. You can check out all the odds for Thursday's games, Friday's games in the NBA. Check out what you want to have a look at all over at FanDuel. Futures, individual games, player props, it's all there. So head across to FanDuel.com right now and don't forget to gamble responsibly. Okay, let's now take a look at ways that we can manipulate the schedule. Remembering that at this point of the season, we don't want to be too aggressive on doing that. It's more about not making a mistake. It's about capitalizing on others' mistakes versus absolutely streaming in for value. There is our first back-to-back set happening here, Friday, Saturday. They're both 10-game days. You need to look at your roster. Do you have open spots? Does using an ad to get 2 games for the price of 1 ad, will you even use them? Will you use that player? I don't know, but you can go and look at that. Most cases will be no, but a lot of times it will be yes, and you need to look at that. These are 6 names who are rostered, they're available, who have a back-to-back that are worth looking at. Karis LeVert, Wendell Carter Jr., Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Trey Mann, Ayo Dosunmu, and Santi Aldama. Value in streaming those 6 players with their back-to-back. If we talk about chunks, the next 5 days of action, again, we're prioritizing maximization, if that is what you're looking to do, Friday through to Tuesday. All of these 6 names play 3 games in the next 5 nights. Dyson Daniels, Ben Simmons, Karis LeVert, Wendell Carter, Dennis Schroeder, and Andrew Wiggins. Of course, there is skepticism from me about Carter, about Schroeder, about Wiggins as being must-roster players. But when you've got a 3-game in 5 night, it is 1 ad, it is 3 games, it's worth looking at. It's about just maximizing what you do if that is the direction you are going. Now, Dyson is a must-roster player. I think LeVert's close enough to that, and Simmons probably is as well. But these last 3, Carter, Schroeder, Wiggins, they're more players that when the schedule makes sense, we take a look. Now, Wiggins might play 22 minutes, and he probably won't score 20 points. But it's worth us taking a squiz at. And now, to wrap up the show, what about the daily streaming, the Friday streaming? Who do we look at as a solid enough option here as the stream of the day? 10s, 12s, 14s, 16s, Yahoo, ESPN points. 10-team league, Karis LeVert's still available in a lot of spots. I just think he needs to be rostered, and he's a really good stream. Gary Trent for 12s, he makes my cutoff. Do I love him? No, but there's streamability there, and he's playing the Bulls. Toumani Camara for 14-teamers is a streamer I like, and Caleb Martin in deeper leagues is also a stream I like for 16-teamers. For Yahoo points, we're looking at Andre Drummond, and for ESPN points, we're looking at Dyson Daniels. And the people who play ESPN points, who said that I don't FW with you, you know what that means. I'm going to give you the list of top 6 ESPN point streamers later in the show. And part of the reason why I didn't differentiate between Yahoo and ESPN in the past is that the streamers are usually the same. But I will give you your own list so you can have a look and say that you're not getting left out. For 10-team league category streams, remember, just if you are in any league, just go down the lists here. But these ones should be available in 10s. LeVert, Trent, KCP, Aldama, Kamara, and Andy Nembhard. These all fit my criteria of guys that I think are going to be available. In terms of 12s, look at that 10-team list, but then also look at DeLon Wright. Maybe you get 4 assists and 3 steals. That is what he does for Milwaukee. Caleb Martin might play 1,000,000 minutes for Nick Nurse. Trey Mann. You could even move Trey Mann into 10-team stream if you wanted to, but there is, again, going to be some skepticism about whether he's able to replicate what he did in Game 1, but I still really like him as an ad. Tari Eason only scored 2 points last game, but there can be defensive stats. You can get some rebounds. Not bad as a stream. Taurean Prince got hot. We don't care. We don't love it. We don't get excited about it, but as a stream guy, sure, why not? Middleton's out. And the same for Dosunmu with Lonzo Ball out. His value does rise. For deeper leagues, this is 14 teams and deeper. Use all those other names as well, but go to Cody Martin, who probably starts again for Charlotte. Jose Alvarado, not sure that he's going to necessarily increase minutes, but he probably plays more than the 12 or 13 that he played in the last one. DeAndre Hunter is there. Grant Williams is there. I've got Yves Missi in the deep league stream. You could probably move him up to the 12, to be honest. My projections aren't unbelievably bullish on him, but he's a rookie. He's played one game. Sometimes we can look at projections and we can tie ourselves to them, which sometimes I've got to do better at not doing that. But he's a rookie. We don't know. Look, he also might suck, and he might not be able to play at all next to Zion, because there might be no spacing. Totally possible. But you can take that flyer on him. And the other one there is TJ McConnell. We know we get assists, we know we get steals, and we usually get a pretty high field goal percentage. For Yahoo points, Andre Drummond tops the list there as a good streamer. Then Dyson Daniels, Dracaris Levert, Scoot Henderson, Ben Simmons, and Wendell Carter Jr. All of these guys are over 50% available on Yahoo. And then I do not use the ESPN roster percentage numbers because they are insane. So we don't use that, but I'm going to try and I'm going to use the Yahoo roster percentage because that gives a better indication of leagues on ESPN that are actually locked into what they're doing. And I'll give you the top list. And spoiler alert, it's the same 6 players, just a slightly different order. Dyson Daniels, Andre Drummond, Caris LeVert, Ben Simmons, Scooter Henderson, and Wendell Carter Jr. And that's the end of the daily streaming show for Friday. We'll be back later on today with a recap show of all the action, the 4 games on Thursday across the NBA. And you know that in order to not miss, you can subscribe and you thumb and you leave your comments down below. Guys, we banged that out in 26 minutes. We are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.